wake up.
It's unacceptable. I want things changed.
Right now, the most serious threat to the Neuse River are the people in our state house.
We need to get people in government to start doing their job.
We just have to work together for the betterment of our communities.
There are people out there profiting because of the government's inability to protect our water.
The first thing that needs to be done to protect the Neuse for our children and grandchildren is for people to care.
I'm Bill Leslie along the Neuse River. I've been reporting on this river for more than 30 years, including a major pollution study we did here 29 years ago. In 1990, this remarkable river was on the brink of catastrophe. Nutrient pollution was robbing these waters of so much oxygen. Millions of fish were dying every day. Toxic algal blooms threatened this river as a source of drinking water. And people complained of strange burning sensations after swimming in these waters. We have conducted another in-depth review of this river. 4 prominent scientists who helped us study this river back in the 1990s agreed to help us again. We also talked to state and local political leaders, river keepers, river activists, and fishermen. We hope you'll stay with us for the next 30 minutes because we have some very important information to share with you. Without clean water, we lose everything. Everything.
Native Americans called the Neuse the River of Peace. A fitting name for a gently flowing waterway compared to some neighboring rivers, like the mighty Cape Fear to the south and the raging Roanoke to the north. The Neuse River rises in the triangle near Hillsborough and flows 275 miles past Raleigh, Smithfield, Goldsboro, and New Bern before it empties into Pamlico Sound.
This is an incredible water resource that North Carolina has. It's world-class resource system.
It is considered the number one most important primary nursery ground for fish from Maine to Florida. They come to that estuary and spawn, and the young grow, and then they move north or south. So it's a very important fish nursery ground, and the second largest estuary on the U.S. mainland, and the most important fish nursery ground.
Every year it's just getting less and less.
The late James Barry Gaskell, whom we interviewed in 1990, made his living fishing these waters.
I just hope there are something left for the other people.
Gaskell revered this river system and passed on his respect to son Morty, a commercial fisherman now at age 25.
Water is a public trust resource, and it belongs to everyone, and you got to maintain its health for the health of society.
But not everyone feels so strongly about protecting these waters. Another Native American name for the Neuse was Gautano, meaning pine trees along the water. Today, many of the trees along the river are gone, cut down by industry, farmers, and developers.
You clear cut, build, and then you plant a little trivial planting around there and think that you're doing a good job. That's baloney.
The lack of buffer zones along this river emerged as a major pollution issue in our 1990 documentary. The General Assembly responded by establishing a 50-foot vegetative buffer along the Neuse. Some lawmakers favored a 100-foot buffer like the one you see along the Chesapeake Bay. Both Democrats and Republicans in the North Carolina legislature took other action to protect the Neuse following our reporting in the 1990s.
In the early 1990s, late 1980s, was when the confined animal feeding operations, especially swine industry, moved in. And so the whole watershed was really shifting.
The legislature ordered a moratorium on new industrialized hog farms because of the enormous amounts of nutrient waste they generate. Cropland farmers, meanwhile, agreed to dramatically reduce their fertilizer use.
The crop farmers, traditional family crop farmers have done a magnificent job.
Big kudos to them because they reduced their nitrogen applications by 40%, which is big.
Cities along the river join the battle to save the Neuse as well.
If everybody do their part to maintain the cleanliness of our waters, then we'll be in a better place, a better position.
Municipal wastewater treatment plants on the river sharply cut their nutrient discharges. The state also created a rapid response team for fish kills, and state lawmakers established a Clean Water Trust Fund.
Having worked all over the world on coastal and ocean issues, I can't think of another place that did what we did together back in the 1980s and 1990s, putting in place an unmatched set of policies, programs, and investments that would very clearly protect our key rivers and coastal estuaries.
But something went wrong. That carefully crafted plan to save the Neuse River was blown off track. Coming up, how three things, a major hurricane, a political storm, and public apathy put this river at risk again.
To lose it, I think, would be devastating.
Progress to heal the Neuse River from paralyzing pollution was slow as we approached the 21st century.
It takes time to fix these problems.
Scientists say it's never a quick fix when you're dealing with nutrient pollution.
The remedy is reduce the input and let the system cleanse itself, and that can take decades sometimes. And this is the truth about natural systems.
Hurricane Floyd in 1999 was an environmental disaster, spewing pollution all over the Neuse River and into Pamlico Sound. Flooding caused hog waste lagoons on industrialized farms to overflow and mix with floodwaters. The state responded by buying out some of the farms in the floodplains, but many remain today.
In addition, the Neuse still has close to 2 million hogs that are being grown with outmoded last century technology and waste treatment that has been using the same spray fields for now 30 years.
Hog farm companies defend their technology, saying it's worked for years in the Midwest. But there is a big difference. There is a thick layer of soil, at least 20 feet over the water table in the Midwest, compared to only 3 feet in eastern North Carolina.
So there's an incredibly thin layer of soil that cannot possibly absorb those wastes.
Plus, the Midwest doesn't have the world-class water system we have in North Carolina with our major rivers and coastal estuaries to protect.
We'll have a seat and get moving.
Lower Neuse River keeper Katie Langley rides the river every week looking for signs of pollution.
I collect the evidence of that. I photograph it. I get a video as well. I make sure it's got a GPS point on it, and I send it to the North Carolina Department of Environmental Quality so that they can they use that evidence to open up a formal investigation.
River advocate Rick Dove checks for polluters by air.
We have so much animal waste being produced by swine and poultry that it's almost impossible to comprehend.
Dove and Langley also look for signs of pollution from other industry, wastewater treatment plants, and developers who build close to the water.
This is worth protecting. This is worth fighting for, no question about it.
They have been very busy since Hurricane Florence in 2018.
The thing we're really worried about is with this new increased frequency in hurricanes. Because we know it takes the system sometimes years to recover, essentially.
Too many big storms close together could devastate fisheries and water quality.
And this is really the big enchilada question.
When Republicans took control of the legislature in 2012, they vowed to cut regulations to grow the economy.
You know, when we came in, I think there was 21,000 rules, not laws, rules that agencies had put into place. And it was our goal to go through all of them and have them go through them and look at them and start eliminating the ones they did not need. They have reduced tremendously a lot of those rules that were either antiquated or just outdated or were a detriment to growth and expansion for the economy.
Scientists disapproved when the lawmakers eliminated buffer rules. The General Assembly also slashed the budget for the Clean Water Trust Fund by 90%. And made what many called draconian cuts in the state environmental budget.
And so right now, the state does not have the ability to get out there and even know if anyone is polluting in the waters.
Right now, you know, a lot of places, if they violate their permit, we're lucky if they get a slap on the wrist. You know, sometimes it's just a notice of violation that says, here's where you messed up and this is what you need to fix. And that's the end of it. There's no real punishment for it. Everything just keeps falling through the cracks constantly. And I mean, they can't keep up with it because they don't have the resources or the staff.
Does that make you feel more under pressure to you know, shed the light on a problem?
Yeah, and it kind of adds to that overwhelming uphill battle thing.
Our political climate in Raleigh on Jones Street does not favor the health of this river or our environment in general.
NC State aquatics ecologist Dr. Joanne Burkholder agrees with that assessment.
This is where we sample and do nutrient concentrations.
She points to a 2015 study ranking North Carolina next to last in environmental spending nationwide at $8 per capita, with only Oklahoma spending less.
That's a couple of candy bars. That's pathetic in my opinion. It's never going to get you there on protecting water quality of any of our water resources. South Carolina per capita spends $140. I know there's always been a little bit of a rivalry between those two states. Boy, are they beating us.
You can't throw money at a problem and expect it to be fixed without having a plan in place first.
Well, you know, we had a plan. We had a plan in the 1990s that came about. It was almost over a 9 or 10 year period where they came up with a number of policies. There's a feeling now that we had this great plan and then now we're just kind of throwing it away and starting all over again. The river was at the brink of catastrophe in 1990.
Well, I think that the comment that you're hearing that we're throwing all that away is just erroneous. I mean, I'm shocked that someone would even say that because I think we've made great strides since the 1990s in trying to clean up what we thought at the time was, you know, a mess. And it did not get that way overnight, and it's going to take several years and probably decades to get it resolved. But I think we are moving in the right direction. I think we're moving forward.
And it's not that fish kills have gone away. They still happen. They don't get as much attention now that the state has done away with its fish kill rapid response team.
We asked 4 prominent scientists who have studied the Neuse River for decades to give a letter grade to the waterway now. How healthy are these waters today? Coming up, the new problems and challenges facing all of us.
It's not going to change until this river makes it happen with consequences that people will not want to tolerate.
The message from Florence is really simple. Wake up.
Marine biologist Doug Rader says North Carolina must get back to the business of protecting water quality.
We're here at the Neuse today. A huge amount of effort was put into building plans and building programs and funding them that would help bring the Neuse back from the brink of catastrophe from the 1980s to the 1990s.
Rader gives the Neuse River a grade of C-. He is particularly concerned about projections of spectacular growth along the upper portions of the river.
More people means more yards, more fertilizer, more runoff, more cars, more tailpipe emissions, more deposition through the air of nutrients that cause problems in the estuaries, more of everything downstream that threaten the health of the Neuse.
Scientists are worried about another issue.
What about the Trump administration's proposed rollbacks of wetlands protections?
Unacceptable. Unacceptable. You're going to see the whole ecosystems, they're going to start collapsing.
Now, you do some water testing of the river. You're out there today. What are you finding these days in the river that might disturb you?
We have almost 25 years of data, and now we have seen no decrease in total nitrogen.
Nitrogen and phosphorus from urban runoff, farms, and industrial discharges rob the river of oxygen, killing the fish and putting our drinking water at risk.
The river is in very poor health and declining, continuing to decline.
Burkholder reluctantly gives the Neuse River a grade of D-.
I think it's an unfair question. It's not the river's fault.
Hans Pearl's research has shown some signs of improvement. He gives the Neuse a grade of C, but he says we have got to get a handle on toxic algal blooms.
Those toxins, if they're taken in drinking water, for example, can lead to liver issues, digestive issues, and even neurological symptoms.
Jeepers, clean water is really important. Abundant water is really important. Why? Because there isn't going to be any more if we're not careful.
Dr. Stan Riggs gives the Neuse a grade of D+, with a stern recommendation that North Carolina dramatically improve environmental education.
Our schools are becoming pathetic, in my opinion. We got to change that.
Dr. Stan Riggs, he's one of my heroes.
River advocate Rick Dove has been fighting pollution for 50 years on the Neuse.
When you look out at that river, what do you think of? I mean, what does this personally mean to Rick Dove?
You know, this river has been a huge part of my life since I first got here. I've been here 50 years. I've lived on the river the whole time, except for a couple times when I deployed with the Marine Corps. And it's heartbreaking to know that what I've experienced here on the river may not be here for my kids and my grandkids. I got some great grandchildren now. We're trying to hold on to the resource without offending the polluters. I don't know how long the Neuse River is going to tolerate that.
One of the great things we've seen in North Carolina is the explosion of breweries. That is the #1 key ingredient for them, is clean water. There's no way we're going to bring jobs to North Carolina if the people that move here can't be assured of both quantity and quality of drinking water. There is a perception that the ability of state government to monitor and protect the quality and safety of the water is somehow a bureaucratic hurdle that gets in the way of job creation.
It's insane, because good environmental policies are good economic policies. If you have a healthy environment, industry wants to come. Good, clean industry wants to come.
Water, water, water. It's all we got. We've lost our whole perspective and a relationship to water. It's what drives life on this planet, and we better take care of what we got.
Where do we go from here? What do we do to get back on track? What can you and I do to better protect these precious waters of the Neuse River?
Kinston Mayor Don Hardy says it is high time for more cooperation and collaboration.
You know, you put aside politics, and you got to have, you know, that bipartisan approach to make things happen, to make it better for the, you know, the people as a whole.
People are so busy these days. There's so much going on and so much bad news. It's hard. They don't want to get more bad news. But this information and this situation is important because it is affecting, very, very quietly, affecting their health every single day.
All those little fishing villages in this section of the state, they don't exist anymore.
It's not easy. It's very tough.
You can get to a point with Mother Nature that she says, that's it. That's it, boys. That's it, girls. It's over. And you can't go back. It's too late. You can't go back.
It's an uphill battle for sure. This is what I'm fighting for, and it is 100% worth it.
Why are you so passionate?
This is my home. This is what I love. I want to be able to bring my kids. I came and played in this river as a child. I want to bring my kids. I want to keep bringing them out here to be able to play and not have to worry about, well, don't run and jump in. I don't know if the water's clean.
You know, we've seen a growing economy, but we have reduced some of our rules and regulations, which has made it easier for businesses to expand and actually try and turn a profit.
North Carolina needs to reawaken our environmental ethic.
Scientist Doug Rader says all of us need to embrace this noble challenge.
Recognize that this is your river too.
Absolutely. That's exactly what I'm talking about, is everybody needs to be aware.
We need to all be the voice for the river. We need to say, you know, hey, this is unacceptable, this is my river, and there's a bunch of dead fish floating in here several times a year, every summer.
Reawakening the spirit of yes for nature and man together, people together, communities together, is really essential for the future.
You and I can help by making sure we don't contribute to pollution problems in the Neuse River through careless use of fertilizers and chemicals on our lawns. We can teach our kids and our grandchildren to be environmental stewards and watchdogs. And we can demand from the state legislature a new, bipartisan, comprehensive plan to save this river for future generations. Anything less, and we may lose this river again. Thank you for watching. I'm Bill Leslie.